Welcoming you to the Kentucky Derby on behalf of ABC Sports for the 25th consecutive time. It's a big anniversary for us and a bigger one for the race itself, because this will be the 125th running of the world's greatest horse race. So get comfortable, because it's going to be quite a day.
Can you hear it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel history? The 125th running of the Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs.
And Churchill Downs, we're just moments away from post time of the Kentucky Derby.
The Derby is like Super Bowl or anything.
When you're coming down the stretch, about your life flashes before you because you are
If you try to become the Derby, if you try to take it over, it'll destroy you.
You could be the greatest horse trainer in the world, but if you haven't won the Kentucky Derby, you're not so great.
Can you hear it?
Seattle's Blue now taking it away from him. As Spectacular Bid is coming to the line. It is Spectacular Bid that wins it by 3. We come to the finish. And it's Secretariat that wins it by 2.5 lengths. Then look at Sam, but he's still on the lead. And here comes Foolish Pleasure. Foolish Pleasure gets ahead in front.
I can't.
The pulse.
The pulse. Can you feel it?
Speed. Excellence. History. Grace. Power.
Can you hear it?
I can.
Churchill Downs, history, the 125th running of the Kentucky Derby.
Can you hear it?
Can you hear it?
Can you hear it?
Can you feel it?
I can.
Hear the echoes of a century and more. Feel the drama that's to come. Remember Real Quiet last year? The second straight for trainer Bob Baffert. Now he goes for an unprecedented third in a row. From the mysterious Middle East comes a challenger prepared in Dubai for this day in Kentucky. Shane Sellers, leading rider here in Kentucky, still looks for his first Derby win on Vicar. Wayne Lukas, once the sport's dominant figure, stalks the backstretch looking for a 4th Derby win. And Nick Cito, from the sidewalks of New York, looks for his 3rd win in the 90s. It's the focus of the sports world today. Kentucky Derby, number 125.
There is only one place to be in the world of sports on the first Saturday in May, and you are there at the moment. The twin spires of Churchill Downs, a bright blue sky. This is the 125th Kentucky Derby. I guarantee you, never with better weather conditions. An ice blue sky, just perfect. Temperature in the low 70s and perhaps 150,000 looking on for the 125th Kentucky Derby. The purse over $1.1 million. They'll go 1.25 miles on a very fast track in Louisville. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to the final Kentucky Derby of the 20th century. And we really have a beauty. What a decade this has been. Every race in this decade seems to have been a wide open Derby, perhaps none more so than this one. There's no superstar horse. There is no one horse getting an inordinate amount of attention. I think you can really make a case for at least 12 of the 19 horses that will come out of the starting gate having a legitimate chance in a race that has produced no winning favorite since all the way back in 1979. And we've had no Triple Crown winner since 1978. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this gigantic field, which was originally 20 but is now 19 because of a scratch yesterday. And one of those horses who was scratched was number 1, Algebra, part of the entry from Dubai, but his more heralded mate is Worldly Manor in the field at 14-1. Then there's the John and Betty Maybe owned entry of Excellent Meeting and General Challenge. Excellent Meeting is the filly, each trained by Bob Baffert, coupled at 5-1. Adonis is one of 2 Nick Zito horses at 18-1. Then there is number 4, 3 Ring, one of 2 fillies in the race at 20-1. Stephen Got Even is amazingly the favorite at 9-2. Desert Hero at 18-1. Answer Lively, last year's 2-year-old champ, 35-1. Cat Thief, one of 2 horses trained by Wayne Lukas in the field, is 7-1. Prime Timber, one of the 3 Baffert horses running uncoupled, at 6-1. First American is 35-1. Charismatic is the other Lukas horse at 30-1. Vicker comes north from Florida, where he won a couple of races, at 8-1. Menifee was the winner of the recent Bluegrass. He's 6-1. And then you have the bargain basement sale. You might as well go to Filene's Basement, because you like any of those horses, you get all 5 for 1 on 1 ticket. Ecton Park, Val Hall, K1 King, Kimberlite Pipe, and Lemon Drop Kid in what's known as the Mutual Field. Buy one, get them all at odds of 10-1. A reminder, we had to go off the air before the end of the Auto Club 300 auto race. Robin Roberts will be updating that for you very shortly. We'll give you the final results as soon as that race in California is over. And right now, down to the barn area, and Leslie Visser.
Hello, Al. It's been a busy week at Barn 33. Bob Baffert, who won yesterday with Silver Bullet Day in the Kentucky Oaks, hopes his luck continues. Owner Mike Pegram told me he would like to run Silver Bullet Day in the Preakness, but that decision will be left up to Bob. Well, as for today, Bob is most concerned with General Challenge. He's a difficult horse. Bob calls him Rodman, so he's going to put on his tongue tie and his blinkers here at the barn. That's usually done over in the paddock. With 2 top colts and a top filly, Bob knows this is his chance at history.
These are my children, and I treat them like my children. These 2 guys are immature, talented freaks of nature, and so my job is to keep them happy, keep that confidence level. I want them to think they're bad. Pat Riley said once, when you're playing at this championship level like this, you have 2 things to look forward to, and that's winning and misery. And believe me, he's right. There's never been a trainer of this caliber. No. And I don't think about the 3 years in a row. You can't get your hopes up too high, because there's a lot of disappointments in this business. So I'm just trying to get there right now. And this is one-shot deal, so you better make the best of it.
Bob Baffert looking for an unprecedented hat trick in Louisville and obliging their fans. The great Jerry Bailey, who's won 2 Kentucky Derbies, and Pat Day, who'll be aboard Menifee, who has won 1. One of the great celebrities in the world, Muhammad Ali, mugging for the camera. Of course, this is Muhammad's hometown. On the subject of celebrities, hey, what's a Kentucky Derby? His 25th without Jim McKay. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Al, thank you very much. As you know, horse racing's full of superstitions. You know, don't take a horse's picture before the race, never show a horseshoe upside down, and magic numbers. Consider the number 9 in this year with 3 of them, 1999. Kentucky Derbies and the events of the world have been especially fascinating in the years ending in 9.
Number 9, number 9, number 9.
Let us begin in the year just after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles was signed, ending the wars supposedly to end all wars, and prohibition became law in the United States. Mint juleps forbidden by law? Well, a mean-tempered, sore-footed colt named Sir Barton came to set the pace for his stablemate, but won the Derby and became the first Triple Crown winner. Clyde Van Dusen, the 1929 winner, was named after his trainer. What an ego trip for the human Clyde when his namesake became the last gelding to win the Derby. 5 months later, the stock market crashed and the nation was in panic.
Number 9, number 9.
40 years after the crash, there was national pride.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In the Derby, Johnny Longden became the first, and he's still the only man, to win the Derby as a jockey, and in 1969 as the trainer of Majestic Prince. 10 years later, an ominous-looking Middle Eastern Ayatollah struck fear in us all when Americans were taken hostage in the U.S. Embassy. But that was also the year of spectacular bid. To this day, the last 2-year-old champion and the last favorite to win the Derby. And this year at the Derby, where everyone is dressed to the nines, well, if you're looking for a superstitious hunch bet, number 9 is Prime Timber.
The 125th Kentucky Derby, the first leg of the Visa Triple Crown Challenge. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown Challenge. It's everywhere you want to be. Jaguar Cars, the blending of art and machine. AT&T Net.working to make your business succeed. And National Car Rentals. So what are you waiting for? Let's go.
That's a live shot of Worldly Manor being led by his contingent, headed by the Sheikh from Dubai. Sheikh Mohammed and his group leading their horse over. Their other horse, Algebra, was scratched yesterday. Now, what would a Kentucky Derby be without a week of controversy? And the biggest was provided earlier in the week by a horse by the name of Valhall, because of what had taken place in the Arkansas Derby 3 weeks ago, when Valhall, in only his third start and as a maiden, won the Derby, the Arkansas Derby, by 4.5 lengths at odds of 30-1. And as he crossed the finish line, as you can imagine, his owner, James Jackson, was exultant. But then the controversy, because a track employee discovered on the track, and you can see this in the tape after the race, an object drops from Billy Paton, the jockey. The track is contending it was an electrical device, what's known as a buzzer. It's illegal. It's used occasionally, or has been in the past, to spur horses on. The purse was initially held up by the Arkansas Racing Commission. There was the hearing, but a judge released the purse money, so the horse became eligible. Valhall is here. The owner is here. The trainer, Dallas Keene, is here. The jockey is not, however. Willie Martinez will ride that horse today. Now, the other big story this week concerns the horses, now single horse, from Dubai. And there's so much mystery that surrounds this contingent and what they do in Dubai. They've had tremendous success in Europe. Sheikh Mohammed Maktoum, he's enjoyed his week here. He's participated in all of the festivities, and let's see if we can unlock a little bit of this mystery from the Middle East.
A winner in 3 of his first 4 starts as a 2-year-old, Worldly Manor was one of the most promising horses in this country. Bred and owned by John and Betty Mabey and trained by Bob Baffert, the colt had attracted a great deal of interest, but last September all involved were stunned by the suddenness of an astronomical bid by an anonymous buyer.
People were trying to buy him, but we thought we were home free by putting a price on him so high that they would back off, and that didn't happen, as you know.
That was the best kept secret ever in horse racing. I mean, it was a tight, I didn't know. I didn't know who bought it. We had a feeling it had to be Arab money, because that was a ton of money, but you should have seen the story. People were getting mad at me. They thinking that I knew. I said, I don't know. And I don't think Mr. Mabey knew.
After 2 weeks of speculation, it was revealed that Worldly Manor was off to the Middle East, to Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. This mysterious land is home to desert villagers, but oil has created enormous wealth, and this tiny sheikhdom has become a key player in thoroughbred racing. Behind the $5 million purchase of Worldly Manor was the Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed, and his Godolphin racing operation.
Sheikh Mohammed, he likes challenges. What he's done in Dubai is unbelievable. That city, you know, everything he's done so far has turned to gold. But the Kentucky Derby is a different type. You need a lot of luck. They're trying to buy it, but it's difficult to buy this race.
Under the watchful eye of Sheikh Mohammed, the preparation of his horses is shrouded in secrecy. Godolphin staged 2 private trial races at its winter training center in the Dubai desert, but videotape of those races remain under lock and key. Since being shipped nearly 8,000 miles 12 days ago, Worldly Manor and his stablemate Algebra, who's been scratched from the Derby, were unimpressive in their workouts. It's unconventional to try to win the world's greatest horse race without the benefit of a traditional prep race, but the Sheikh's methods have produced 15 years of unmatched success in England.
We have our own way of training. We did that going to England, and we trying to do it coming over here. If we not succeed, then we'll try again, and we'll try again, and we'll be back.
With Worldly Manor off to Dubai, the Mabeys and trainer Baffert watched excellent meeting develop into an outstanding filly, and General Challenge go on to win the Santa Anita Derby. But upon reflection, and even with 2 of the favorites in today's race, the Mabeys would prefer to be $5 million poorer and 1 Kentucky Derby horse richer.
If I had it to do over again, it would be nice to have all the opportunities that you possibly could to win the Derby. If I had to make that decision today, I wouldn't do it.
Worldly Manor may be a mysterious horse as you look at the Sheikh, but there's just so much mystique for the bettors because he's 14-1. we have a new handicapping guru. His name is Hank Goldberg. And Hank is the kind of guy who, if the only action was to bet the ponies via satellite from Hong Kong at 2 a.m., he'd be there. He's our kind of guy. Hank Goldberg. Welcome, Hank.
Thanks, Al. I wish I had gotten down on the Shakes. Island Sands, who won the 2,000 guineas early this morning after a 260-day layoff. But I don't know if that kind of a layoff works getting to the Kentucky Derby. And after spending $32 million to try to win this race, including a $27 million complex duplicating Churchill Downs right down to the racing surface, he runs the risk of coming here and being the horse racing equivalent of baseball's Orioles owner, Peter Angelos, throwing a lot of money out there and perhaps coming out empty. Now let's go to Jim McKay.
Hank, don't quite give up on the O's yet. The farm system people tell me we have some kids in the minors who are just about ready. I hope. Well, you know, females haven't been frequent in the Kentucky Derby, but they have had their moments. Regret won the race in 1915, Genuine Risk in 1980, and Winning Colors in 1988. 7 female trainers have run horses, but none have yet won, although Shelley Riley finished second here with Casual Lies in 1992. This year, there's a real challenge, both human and equine. Akiko Gothard is a 68-year-old woman who came from Japan to Kentucky and stumbled into a new life as a trainer. She brings K1 King, also owned by a woman, Madeline Paulson. And the fillies? Well, there's 3 Ring. Her beautiful white blaze won't be visible in the race today. She'll be wearing blinkers. Since wearing them as a practical move, not a fashion statement, she's won 2 races by a combined total of 21 lengths. And then there's Excellent Meeting. She's won 4 major stakes in a row, and in this day of equal pay for equal work, she's richer than all the males, the only millionaire in the field. And Excellent Meeting has an excellent chance. There's one caveat here. The 3 fillies who have won the Derby all had raced against males before the Derby. These 2 have not. Let's go to Charlesy now with the riders of the 2 fillies in the race.
Well, escorting Excellent Meeting today will be Kent DeSormo, who rode Real Quiet to victory last year, and John Velasquez will be aboard 3 Ring today, and he's having a tremendous day here at Churchill Downs. 2 different fillies with 2 different styles. John, your filly is pretty one-dimensional.
Well, not really. She doesn't really need to be on the lead. You know, it just happens every race she runs, she happens to be on the lead. But I don't think she necessarily need to be on the lead, though.
Well, with that inside post, we probably suspect to see you on the lead first turn. Kent, you've got a little more versatility with Excellent Meeting. What's your strategy?
Well, she is the consummate professional, and I think the magic word today and on most racing days is comfortable. We have got to get her in a comfortable stride in the early goings of the race, and if I can do that, if I can manage to do that, you can bet your bottom she will have some kick for the last quarter of a mile.
This is a pair of tough tomboy fillies. Good luck to you both, and we'll go back to Al Michaels.
Thank you, Chelsea. And a tomboy filly won it in 1988. Winning Colors providing Wayne Lukas with the first of his 3 Derby wins.
The Unbridled gave his trainer Carl Knopsker and 92-year-old owner Francis Genter the thrill of a lifetime.
He's on the lead, Biscuit. He's on the lead. Kentucky Derby. I love you.
Harry, this is the equivalent of maybe Sir Laurence Olivier leaving his dressing room. Bob Baffert, he is the primary character for this Derby as he heads toward the track. Stephen Got Even is still the favorite. You look at the next 4 favorites in order. The entry is the second choice, and right now let's go to a man who'll call his 22nd Derby, Dave Johnson. Dave.
Okay, thanks very much, Al. Well, Hank, this has to be the most wide-open Derby I've ever seen.
All the preps have been so close, and horses who won in California lost elsewhere. Horses who lost in Florida won elsewhere. No wonder there are 19 entries here.
And to show you how deep this crop is, 25 different 3-year-olds won graded stakes races on the dirt this year, so it's no wonder that their owners think they can take the roses. So come take a spin with us at Churchill Downs. Round and round she goes. Who will win the Kentucky Derby this year?
Our first contestant is Vicar, trained by Carl Knopsker. Vicar raced to tight victories against strong fields in the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby.
Shane Sellers, who will ride Vicar, tries to join the elite company of Kentucky Derby winning jockeys, and he'll have to ride perfectly, breaking out of the 18-hole.
But Hank finishing second and third to Vicar in the same 2 races, Cat Thief. D. Wayne Lucas's chance for a 4th Derby victory.
The
Thunder rolls and the lightning strikes.
It's Bob Baffert's turn to try his luck. You think he's hedging it, Dave, by entering 3? After all, he's going for a 3-peat. This year, Prime Timber, winner in the San Felipe, gives Baffert another strong Derby contender. And jockey David Flores is also riding for his first Derby victory, and he's the Santa Anita riding champ.
The wheel continues to spin a peculiar web. Last year in the Belmont, Victory Gallop, trained by Elliott Walden, prevented Baffert from winning the Triple Crown. The hobbled trainer signaled V for Victory Gallop.
With a pleasant reminder of Victory Gallop's late charges in 1998, Menifee's powerful stretch drive in this year's Bluegrass Stakes gives new meaning to my old Kentucky home.
Because they're all Kentucky connections, including trainer Walden, owner Arthur Hancock, and jockey Pat Day, who unbelievably has only one Derby victory in 16 tries.
Finally, 2 horses who each won their last Grade 1 stakes races for trainer Nick Zito. First, Stephen Got Even. He won the Gallery Furniture Stakes by 2.5 lengths. He's only 3 for 3 this year. And Adonis on the far outside overtook the field in the Wood Memorial with jockey George Chavez aboard, another hot jock who was the Gulfstream champion.
Step right up, try your luck, and pick a winner in the Kentucky Derby. Okay, what theory are you using to win the Derby this year?
You probably think I'm going to use the lightly raced or the filly or gelding theories, but I'm not, okay? I like the first time in the playoffs theories. You know, how teams are just feeling good about being there the first time, but I like the horses who came out of the tougher heats, and I think that Vicar and Cat Thief were the best in Florida this year, but they both tend to be a little bit short. I'm looking for a come-from-behind horse, and I think Prime Timber has that kind of finishing kick.
I'm using history. The last 7 winners of the Kentucky Derby lost the race prior to the run for the Roses. I'm going to take Vicar.
Well, Dave, Prime Timber didn't run second in the Santa Anita Derby.
Sounds like a good exacta, Colonel. Back to you, Al.
All right, Dave, let's find out if Nick Zito can win a 3rd Derby. He would have had a horse by the name of Wonder Tross here, but Wonder Tross had to be scratched about 3 weeks ago. Still, he has 2 good ones for one of the great trainers of the 90s.
It was kind of a really, education, put it that way. You learned a lot about life. My father took me to the track when I was very young. I had the security guards, they would watch me. And by the time I was 12, I kind of was sneaking into the track. And I used to hang out in the 2nd floor in the grandstand at Aqueduct and watch all the races. And this was in my blood. I think if I have a gift, it comes from above. I'm very lucky that way. I think I am a poster boy for New York. I think no one represents New York better than I do. I mean, there are a lot of great trainers in New York right now, but I'm homegrown. Always be a New York kid. I mean, that's, that could never change.
When can you...
And we're back in Louisville. Lonnie Anderson comes here a lot in the crowd today. Ed Asner is here. I keep looking for Mary Tyler Moore every time I see Ed, but she's nowhere to be found. And Randy Quaid is a huge sports fan, loves horse racing, and he is in attendance. But there is Gary Stevens at the very top of his game. The 36-year-old jockey has won this race 3 times, a Hall of Famer already.
It's about focus. I don't care how many times any jockey has done it, how many times you've won it, how many times you've been in the Derby. When they start playing my old Kentucky home, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. And that's probably the one time during the whole post parade that anything else is allowed inside of your mind. That's your time to enjoy. I mean, it's a special moment. You have to feel very proud to have gotten there. And once that's over with, you better get focused. That emotion is unexplainable. And the only way you can relive it is to do it again. And you become addicted to that feeling.
Gary Stevens, he'll be aboard General Challenge, who is a California-bred gelding. And if a cow-bred gelding wins the Kentucky Derby, and you see Betty Mabey, along with her husband John, the owner of that horse, if a cow-bred gelding wins the Derby, boy, the Blue Bloods will go a little nuts. Let's go over to Jim McKay.
Thanks, Al. The Derby always stirs emotions, and the year since last year's race has been a time of Great losses for thoroughbred racing. The great trainer Woody Stevens died, as well as Paul Mellon, the only owner to have won the world's 3 top races, the Derby, the Epsom Derby, and the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. And last week, the Bald Eagle. When his horse Divine Comedy finished 9th in 1960, Charlie Whittingham saw no humor in it, vowing that he would never return to the Derby until he had a real chance to win. He waited 26 years, then brought Ferdinand, advising all who would listen to go to the windows and bet the farm. Well, few listened, and the colt went off at 17-1. There were murmurs, you see, that Charlie was getting old at age 73, and that his jockey, his old pal Bill Shoemaker, at age 54, was over the hill. There are old jockeys and bold jockeys, they said, but no old, bold jockeys. How wrong they were. In the stretch, Shoe made a breathtakingly bold move through a very narrow opening, and Ferdinand won the race. At least one jockey on that day was both old and bold. Charlie, well, he was the oldest trainer ever to win the Derby, and Bill the oldest rider. As Whittingham stood on the victory stand, almost as straight as the Marine he once was, but with uncharacteristic tears in his eyes, I asked him when he would retire. When the man stands over me, he said, and says, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Last week, the man said the words. 2 days after sending out his last entry at Santa Anita, Charlie died in his sleep of leukemia at age 86. The sport of kings has lost one of its most noble princes.
This is seen moments ago in the paddock. General Challenge can be a tough customer. He didn't ship well. The one time they sent him to Louisiana, and Baffert has to follow him around, and that's not a typical scene in the paddock. So Bob trying to adjust the saddle as the horse walks around the paddock, and you look down upon Churchill Downs from the Bud 1 airship. A spectacular view framed by a blue sky at Churchill Downs. And this huge field, post positions are very important. Here they are, presented by Dr. Pepper. Reading now from right to left, from the rail out. So we'll start with Adonis breaking from the 1 spot, then 3 ring the filly out of 2. We've highlighted some of the others. The other filly, excellent meeting with an excellent post. That's number 5. Then as we move outside in the main gate, 8 through 14, you have Cat Thief, for instance, out of number 10, not bad. And then Prime Timber and General Challenge coming out of 13 and 14, the 2 Baffert entrants. Then in what's known as the auxiliary gate, you have horses such as Vicar out of 17 and Menifee out of 18. So you're starting from far outside at a distance of 1.25 miles. I'm joined again by Hank Goldberg. And Hank, you can say it's kind of the dead zone or no man's land out there, but in recent years horses have won from the aux gate.
Well, it worked for Wayne Lukas with Grindstone and Thunder Gulch, and you go back to 1984, the last time there were 20. Swale went out of number 15. In fact, the first 4 finishers were from the 15 out, so maybe the rail was dead that day.
So just because a horse starts from the outside doesn't mean his chances are compromised that much. That's Pat Day on the right coming down, and the jockeys making their way. McCarron is behind him. Hank, let's take a look at some of these other horses. Answer Lively 6 months ago would have been the favorite for this race, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but since then he's been a dud.
He disappointed in Louisiana, and he was 5th in the Arkansas Derby, and you know, remember Val Hall won that race, and whatever they say about him, he was a maiden.
Then there's Desert Hero, a horse who ran brilliantly at the end under Nakatani to win the San Rafael, but he's only been out 3 times.
2-year-old champion, they don't win. Neither do that's Answer Lively. This one didn't run at all at 2. They don't win either, and he hasn't been behaved well or trained well since he's been here.
First American is a horse getting a serious look from some bettors, even though he's 35-1 off his win at the Flamingo.
He was only beaten 2.5 lengths in the Florida Derby. He has Eddie Del Houssaye, good style for a closer like him. He did have a bias going for him when he won at Hialeah.
We have a lot of lightly raced horses, but then there is a horse such as Charismatic, owned by Bob Lewis in the foreground there. He's been out 14 times. He's a vet.
You know something, though? 5 races ago, you could have bought him for $62,500. He beat a soft field in his last stakes. I don't think I support that.
All right, Hank, you've already told us that your pick, you think that Prime Timber will cross the finish line first, but how is he going to get there?
A lot of people wonder who the speed will be in this race. I think the filly, 3-ring, drew very well from the 2-hole, and she should come out and take the lead as they get to the first turn with Val Hall maybe pushing her. 6 to 8 horses are going to try to get position in behind, including Stephen Got Even, Cat Thief, General Challenge, and Val Hall. Prime Timber will settle in a little bit behind them as they go on to this backstretch, and 3-ring, never having gone more than 1.16 miles, short in stride, Cat Thief and General Challenge come up along with Stephen Got Even. Excellent meetings in the hunt. Vicar is moving up, having broken from the 17 post, and he broke a little late. Prime Timber and Menifee are now starting their run. As they go to the stretch there, now you see Cat Thief and General Challenge going for the lead. The fillies are used up at this point. Stephen Got Even and Vicar finding his stride late. Prime Timber coming on the outside, and the last quarter of a mile starting to take its toll on some of these horses as they come down the stretch at a mile with a 16th of a mile to go. Prime Timber going to take over. Cat Thief hanging on for second. Vicar will edge General Challenge for third.
You almost have me convinced, but not quite. I think Cat Thief gets there first. I think Lukas wins his fourth. Wager at your own risk after listening to us. In terms of the rest of us, all of us on this crew, who we like here, with Cat Thief, my pick. Jim McKay also likes Cat Thief, and Charlesy and Leslie neither go for either of the fillies. They each like Stephen Got Even. Dave has already picked Vicar. Hank likes Prime Timber. It's wide open, and the favorite right now is being held at odds of 5-1. Stephen Got Even. That would be the highest odds for a favorite in the history of the Kentucky Derby. D. Wayne Lukas, our congratulations to him. He'll be inducted at Saratoga in August, the Racing Hall of Fame. Today, saddling his 34th and 35th Kentucky Derby horses.
Riders
He's won
up.
the race 3 times.
Riders up.
And that very special moment approaching as the horses come out onto the track to the strains of My Old Kentucky Home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the management and staff of Churchill Downs proudly present the 125th running of the Kentucky Derby. Please rise for the playing of My Own Kentucky Home, performed today by the University of Louisville Band. The band is directed by Dr. Fred Speck.
This huge field of 19 making its way out onto the track. Parade. Number 1 Algebra was scratched. The stablemate has won a Worldly Manor. Ships in from Dubai with the Hall of Fame jockey Jerry Bailey. Number 2 is Excellent Meeting. The filly Kent DeSormo won the race last year, and his entry mate Also owned by John and Betty Maybe. General Challenge, the California-bred gelding with Gary Stevens, a 3-time winner in the saddle. Number 3, in from New York, where he won the Wood very impressively, Adonis, one of the 2 Nick Zito horses. Number 4 has been pointed for this race for weeks. 3 Ring, the filly who has not run in 6.5 weeks. John Velasquez in the irons. Number 5 right now is the favorite, amazingly enough, despite 4 lifetime starts. At 9-2, Stephen Got Even with Chris McCarron, has won this race twice. Desert Hero, who's raced only 3 times, is number 6. The Hall of Fame trainer, Richard Mandela. Number 7 is the 2-year-old champion, Answer Lively. Bobby Barnett is the conditioner. Craig Perrette won this race in 1990. Cat Thief is number 8, one of the Wayne Lukas horses right now, 7-1. William T. Young is the owner. Mike Smith trying to get off the schneid. He's 0 for 8 in the Derby. Then there's Prime Timber. Prime Timber is 6-1. One of the Baffert horses. David Flores really coming into his own. He's a great jock. Just won the Santa Anita riding title. First American is number 10, coming in off his victory in the Flamingo. Eddie Delahousse, the jockey, he's won this race twice in 82 and 83. Number 11, the other Lukas horse, is Charismatic, owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis, who owns Silver Charm. Chris Antley won this race in 91 on Strike the Gold. He's the jockey. Number 12 is Vicar, the 2-time winner in Florida. Carl Nofsker won this race in 90 with his only other Derby entrant. Unbridled, Shane Sellers tries to win his first Derby. 13 is Menifee, named for a county in eastern Kentucky. Elliott Walden has 2 horses in the race. This is one of them. The Great Pack Day is aboard, leading rider in the history of this track. And the other Walden horse is the first of the 5 field horses, Ecton Park, with Walden, the trainer, and Robbie Davis up for the first time. 15 is Val Hall, a horse we've talked a lot about, the controversial Arkansas Derby winner, who's run only 3 times in his career, with that 1 win in Arkansas. 16 is K1 King. Alex Solis is the jockey. Akiko Gothard is the 68-year-old trainer. Akiko Gothard, we talked about her before. This horse has won 4 of 7 starts. Number 17 is Kimberlite Pipe, who was 4th in the Bluegrass, but comes here after winning the Louisiana Derby. Prior to that, Robbie Alvarado in the irons. And rounding out the field, the last of the 5 field horses, that's Lemon Drop Kid, with the veteran conditioner Scotty Schulhofer, his last outing 5th in the Bluegrass. So a field of 19, there they are. It is an unbelievable sight on a spectacular afternoon with a temperature in the 70s and bright sunshine, and nearly 150,000 looking on. The 125th Kentucky Derby coming up.
125th running of the Kentucky Derby. Can you feel it? Can you hear it?
I can. They have come from everywhere to this moment. Bob Baffert, pride of the American West. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, with a horse trained secretly in Dubai. Wayne Lukas looking for his 4th Derby triumph. And New York's Nick Zito after his 3rd in the 90s. It's Derby 125. Can you hear it?
Can you feel it?
And it's an incredible Derby for the bettors, because never in history has a favorite gone off at more than $4.40 to 1. That was Prairie Bayou in 1993. Didn't win the race, and right now the favorite is 5-1. As we look at the odds, you have 14 betting interests in 19 horses. Worldly Manor is 14-1. An excellent meeting in General Challenge, 5-1, but they're the second choice at the moment. Adonis at 18. 3 Ring, the filly, at 20. The money favorite is Stephen Got Even at 5-1 by $20,000. Desert Hero is 19-1. Answer Lively at 35-1. Cat Thief is 7-1. Prime Timber, the 3rd of the Baffert entrants, is 6-1. First American is 35-1. Charismatic is 30-1. Vicar is 8-1. Menifee at 6-1. And then the field. Bet any of those 5, get all 5, and the field at odds of 11-1. There's the update. 3 minutes to post. Let's go to Leslie.
Al, he's in his lucky seat. He's wearing his undefeated tie. But Bob, General Challenge was a little bit of a handful.
Yeah, he was pretty good today, though. We've been schooling him, and the first day I got here, he was a little bit excited, but you just got to keep him moving, and he was great in the paddock. I was having nightmares about him last night saddling him. But he schooled great, and so I put the saddle on him. He's fine. They all look great.
Yeah, what would you like to see from him and from the other 2 horses in this race?
Well, I told Gary, I said, I want you to ride him like he's the best horse in the race. Ride him with confidence like you do Silver Bullet Day. because I think he's got it. And I told David Flores, you've got the horse to win it. Just relax, take it easy, just ride it like it's just a overnight race. Don't think Derby. But when you see an opening, do not hesitate. You take it, because this race, you got to, there's no second guessing.
And the final horse?
And the little filly, I told Kent, ride her just like you did Real Quiet. Same, she's got the same style. Don't panic, don't move too early, just take it easy. You know how to do it, so if they can do their job, we should win it.
You'll be there. Well, you know how to do it. Thanks a lot, Bob. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Leslie. Kent DeSormo won the race last year aboard Excellent Meeting, and right now that entry, the Excellent Meeting General Challenge entry, has become the favorite. Still at odds of 5-1 with a few thousand more dollars bet on the entry than on Stephen Got Even. Again, the favorite will be, Hank, the highest priced favorite in the history of the Kentucky Derby, and it would figure.
Well, General Challenge looked very calm on the racetrack. Bob Baffert put him in the 15-hole originally, but when Algebra scratched, he moved to 14, so he doesn't get that little gap between the two gates, and that might hurt him coming out. That's what his big concern is. Talked with Karnofsky about Vicker. He's way outside. He said, I don't want to be in that jam on the first turn. If he comes from 8 to 10 lengths back, that's okay with him.
This race normally in the 90s won by a horse and jockey that gets themselves into that garden spot, your third or fourth or fifth, as you begin to make that turn for home, and then everything parts like the Red Sea. There's no bumping, there's no traffic, and somehow, someway you have enough horse to get them home. And Nick Zito has watched two of his horses do it. Strike the Gold, a classic case of a come from behind effort. Go for Gin in 94, nearly wire to wire, but not quite. Elliott Walden is there. He has two horses. Wayne Lukas seeking a fourth Kentucky Derby. So the principles are in place, and now the primary characters get into place. Into the starting gate they go for the call of the race. Here's Dave Johnson.
And don't forget that Acton Park is the only horse in here who's wearing blinkers for the first time. Blinkers have been an important thing in the prep races for the Derby this year. There's the 5-horse, Stephen Got Even with Chris McCarron, going for his third winner in a Kentucky Derby, and there is Prime Timber with David Flores. Second in the Santa Anita Derby, as have been the last two winners of the Run for the Roses. There's the filly. 9-2 for Excellent Meeting and General Challenge. That's the favorite, the entry of Excellent Meeting, the filly, and General Challenge. Gary Stevens aboard General Challenge. He's looking for his fourth Derby win. In goes the 10-horse, First American. And the 2-year-old champ, Answer Lively. John Mabey, who bred 3 horses in this field of 19. Vicker. And Menifee with Pat Day. In red. And here's Lemon Drop Kid. Scotty Schulhofer and Jose Santos teaming up again, hoping for their first Kentucky Derby. All in line. And they're off in the Kentucky Derby. Charismatic gets away quickly, and Answer Lively shows speed toward the inside. Cat Thief with the white blinkers, and Worldly Manor is up front, passing us for the first time. Now Valhall shoots through, and Valhall takes command. On the outside, it's Cat Thief second. On the inside, it's Answer Lively third. Here comes Stephen Got Even in red, moving up fourth. Desert Hero is fifth. Worldly Manor on the outside sixth, and it's a traffic jam at the first turn. 3 Ring on the inside finds room and gains ground. The filly moves up. Charismatic drops back. Back on the front end. Valhall leads it by 3 parts of a length. That's Cat Thief in second. Worldly Manor in blue on the outside moves third. Stephen Got Even is fourth. At the rail, Answer Lively is fifth. Desert Hero sixth. Charismatic seventh. Kimberlite Pipe is eighth. On the inside, the filly, that's 3 Ring Racing ninth. Middle of the racetrack. Vicker is 10th at this point. First American shoots through on the inside, then Prime Timber, then Adonis at the rail. Acton Park followed by Menifee. Then the Baffert horses are 4th and 3rd last. General Challenge and the filly Excellent Meeting. Lemon Drop Kid is 18th at this point. And K1 King, they're midway on the turn. And moving through on the inside, Cat Thief with the white blinkers has the lead. And here comes Worldly Manor, trained in Dubai, up to challenge. And Worldly Manor puts a head in front. It's Worldly Manor on the outside. Cat Thief at the rail. And Charismatic is coming on strongly. Down the stretch they come. Cat Thief digging in at the rail. Worldly Manor with Jerry Bailey. Charismatic trained by Lukas on the outside. Now Lukas running 1-2. Charismatic on the outside takes command. On the inside, Cat Thief in the middle of the track. Menifee is flying, but it's Charismatic holding on to win it by a head. Menifee flying on the outside, and Cat Thief, I believe, was third. What a dramatic victory as Charismatic and Chris Antley team up to get the roses for Lukas. Antley won it once, and now Wayne Lukas wins it again. Lukas, who took it with winning colors, Thunder Gulch and Grindstone, comes to the winner's circle again. There's Bob and Beverly Lewis, and there is Charismatic. They own Silver Charm. Here's Bob Baffert watching the race. His horses way back in the early going. There's Carl Nafsker congratulating Wayne Lukas, and there is the unofficial winner, a son of Summer Squall, trained by Lukas, ridden by Chris Antley, and owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis. What a triumph this afternoon. The fast closing Menifee with Pat Day almost got there, but it was at 1.25 miles, and that's all they run on the first Saturday in May.
An amazing story. Well, the Derby always produces an amazing story. Wayne Lukas won the Derby with Grindstone one year, and that didn't figure to be his horse. His first was with winning colors. And Bob and Beverly Lewis are two of the sweetest people you will ever meet, two of the greatest people you have ever meet, tremendous benefactors for a lot of charities, the owner of Silver Charm. At one point, they had a horse by the name of Exploit, who as of about 10 weeks ago would have been the favorite. But Exploit chipped a bone in his knee and had to be retired, and so they wind up coming to the Derby with Charismatic, and here they go to the winner's circle for the second time in 3 years.
And Chris Antley making his comeback off his problems in the past. What a tremendous story he is, how he must feel today. And Wayne Lukas, yeah, he was in the weeds all week, Al. Everybody was watching Baffert. He gets two of the top three.
Chris Antley won this race in 1991 aboard Strike the Gold for Nick Zito. Here goes Lukas toward the winner's circle. We go to Leslie.
Al, he set his sights on history, fell just short. Where was this race decided, Bob?
First turn. I mean, I saw they were too many horses, you know. That's the only thing wrong. But you can't keep them out. But, I mean, they tried running late, but I could say Gary had way too much to do, and they were pinched back, and this race is always won and lost. I'm just happy the Lewises won. They're great, and but what are you going to do? You know, you come here, you can't win them all. I would like to win 3, but just hope they came back great. We go to the next one.
As you said, great for the Lewises. Thanks, Bob. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Leslie Visser, as Charismatic, who was the most seasoned horse in the field. We mentioned it earlier. He had been to the starting gate a total of 14 times, so that's his 4th win in 15 career starts, and Hank will pick it up on the turn for home. He's in good shape right here on the outside.
He is. You see Cat Thief, Lukas's other horse, had the lead, and Worldly Manor really looked like he was going to threaten. And I really think that Worldly Manor finally got that to that last 1/4 mile, and that last 1/4 mile gets you, and it got to him, and they'll be questioning themselves in Dubai about seasoning for the Kentucky Derby. But what a magnificent closing finish by Charismatic. Menifee, the post had to hurt him, but he makes a magnificent run and just misses.
And when you think of Menifee, you think of Elliott Walden, and it's almost that same circumstance last year where Victory Gallop just couldn't get up at the end.
Does that mean we watch him in the Belmont, Al?
I think so. Super slow-mo now as the Lukas horses have Worldly Manor in a sandwich at that point, and then Charismatic gets to the finish line first, fending off Menifee, who'll come in on the outside. Charismatic, a horse, if you had been at Hollywood Park last November 21st and you had $62,500, you could have claimed Charismatic.
I guess I should have been there.
Yes. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Chris Antley, by the way, was off for 18 months, and he had weight problems, Al, and he just recently returned to riding, and you just really have to take your hat off to him.
You do. The time is very ordinary, plotting 2:03.29 in a very well-matched field. It figured to be not necessarily the fastest Derby ever, and it clearly wasn't, but a very highly competitive race.
You know, the times have been slow all year, and that's what made it so competitive, and that's why you had 19 horses. All felt they had a chance. We're going to take a look at the overhead shot from the blimp. And you can see what a great shot of the finish as you see Cat Thief just giving it up. Charismatic coming on. And watch Menifee. Elliott Walden has to wonder what he has to do here as he trained, as Al said, both him and Victory Gallant. But what a tremendous upset here with a 30-to-1 shot winning it.
This horse has not raced one single time until today outside of California. He's raced at Hollywood, Del Mar, Santa Anita, and Bay Meadows, and then won the Lexington Stakes on the 18th of April until he had come back here. And then with the sire Summer Squall, and bred by Will Farish, trained by Wayne Lukas. So look at Wayne as they head down the stretch.
You know, Charismatic did run in the Santa Anita Derby.
So Wayne Lukas, who watched his horse in a claiming race, and he had said earlier, he said it's one of his best training jobs and one of his worst management jobs, and it would have been the all-time worst management job had he been claimed, and then he'd come back to win the Kentucky Derby.
Well, he did run fourth in the Santa Anita Derby, and people said when he won at the Lexington Stakes that maybe that made the Santa Anita Derby look pretty good, because some horse went elsewhere and won. Didn't happen for General Challenge when he went to Louisiana.
The results are still unofficial. They're checking the photo. There is the photo, so it's a neck with the horse going off at 30-to-1. You have a horse that's going to pay at minimum $62. And if you're wondering about a common trainer, those days are gone where occasionally in the past you'd have a trainer who would train both horses. They'd be coupled. They did away with that a number of years ago. If there's a commonality in ownership, such as was the case today with General Challenge and Excellent Meeting, both owned by the Mavies and trained by Baffert, they are coupled in the wagering, but Lucas's horses run uncoupled. Let's go to Charles C. Canty.
Churchill Downs all-time leading rider Pat Day has just come within about 5 inches of winning his second Kentucky Derby. And Pat, it was a tremendous job from a god-awful post position.
Well, you know, since we drew this post position, I'd been optimistic all week that the speed would materialize, the field would spread out, and we'd be able to tuck into the first turn and not lose a great deal of ground. It didn't work out that way. The field was still bunched up significantly going into the turn. I went ahead and drug him back farther than I really wanted to be in order to tuck in and save a minimal amount of ground. Then he was moving nicely, coming up between horses, picking his spot. Come to the head of the stretch, and there was a terrible jam right in front of me. I had to kind of check and wheel him out to get clear of that, and then called on him. He come running. It was a great performance.
He came running great. We're going to hear a lot more from Menifee and Pat Day. Back to Al.
Okay, Charles, the prices are now official. The result official, and there are the prices. A whopping $64.60. to win, $27.80 for the place, $14.40 for the show. Menifee pays $8.40 and $5.80. Cat Thief third at $5.80. Exacta $7.27. The try $5,800, and the superfecta picking 1, 2, 3, 4. Good luck to you. $24,000. So the last Kentucky Derby of the 20th century belongs to Charismatic, with a very charismatic trainer and a guy who goes into the Hall of Fame at the top of the week and goes to the winner's circle at the Kentucky Derby at the end of the week. Well, this crowd seeing a great horse race won by Charismatic. It's the biggest payoff since 1940 when Galahadian won the race and paid a little bit more than $72. So the century ends with a $64 winner and the beaming Bob and Beverly Lewis from Southern California. As I mentioned before, benefactors of a number of charities, as fine a couple as you'll ever meet in this sport. And Chris Antley, for the second time in his career, winds up in the winner's circle as Charismatic comes home first in the Kentucky Derby. The Bud 1 airship hovering high above Churchill Downs on a most memorable afternoon. And let's go up to Dave Johnson.
As Bob Baffert told us, it was won or lost on the first turn. So let's watch them as they race into the first turn. Cat Thief had pretty good position, and Cat Thief with the white blinkers is close to the front. But the horses here is the eventual winner Charismatic, and Menifee is way back here. Now as you watch the clubhouse turn, you're going to see trouble developing toward the inside, but our horses, Cat Thief, Charismatic, and Menifee, stay out of trouble. There's the trouble right there, and it was a traffic jam, but our eventual first, second, and third place finishers were out of the trouble. At this point, Val Hall in front had faded, and at the top of the stretch, Worldly Manor in the blue. The eventual winner, Charismatic, in the yellow cap on the outside. Cat Thief at the rail, and way back here, now watch the stretch drive as Menifee with the noseband threads his way through horses. He was way back with a quarter of a mile to go. Cat Thief at the rail. It looked like Worldly Manor was going to be there. Then 3 out from the rail. There's your eventual winner. That's Charismatic. And coming through between horses right there is Menifee with Pat Day. And Pat had a magnificent ride, but was just not there, not good enough today. The finish, a jockey who sends out an email every day on his stock tips, Chris Antley gets the victory. Elliott Walden, who's been second lately. Victory Gallop. Last year second, and second again with Menifee today. He didn't get up. The Lewises. Their horse did get up.
And so this field of 19 crossing the finish line with Charismatic winning it by a neck over Menifee. Cat Thief for the show, then Prime Timber, Excellent Meeting, Kimberlite Pipe, Worldly Manor, K1 King, and Lemon Drop Kid. Answer Lively, only 6 lengths separating the top 10. That's as close as we've seen in years. General Challenge, Ecton Park, Desert Hero, Stephen Got Even, who would have been the favorite had this race gone off about 3 minutes prior to post. Val Hall, First American, Adonis. Vicker finishes next to last. And the AT&T winning moment, well, we'll make it right here. As Charismatic wins the Kentucky Derby. And the Kentucky Derby, the first leg of the Visa Triple Crown Series, will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Okay, thanks very much. We're here with Tom Meeker, the president of Churchill Downs. I don't know what more you could have. A perfect day, literally not a cloud in the sky, temperature 70 degrees, 151,000 people, the second largest crowd in Derby history. A 30-to-1 shot wins the race. Fourth for Wayne Lukas, ridden by a rider who's had personal problems and is on the comeback trail. He's only been riding again for 4 months. What a day.
You said it all. My word.
Now, what would you like to say?
I don't know. I can't top that. Well, it's indeed a great honor today with the 125th run of the Derby, and the sky is high, and as it always is in Kentucky during Derby week. And we're awfully proud of what we've been able to accomplish here. We're awfully proud of Wayne and Bob and Beverly Lewis and Chris for the great accomplishment today. And I think it's time to have our Governor Paul Patton, present the trophy to our winner.
Well, it's certainly the Kentucky Derby represents the grace and gentility that is Kentucky. So it's a very special pleasure for me to present this very special ruby-studded 125th trophy to the greatest sports in the greatest sport in the world, Bob and Beverly Lewis. Congratulations.
Oh, Governor Patton, thank you.
Bob and Beverly Lewis, many friends in racing, and this is a very popular victory. I know you both are tremendously excited, but there was also a sigh of relief in the air that this horse was not claimed when you read him for a price.
No, and Wayne leaned over and said, "Whoa, Bob, whoa, did we just escape one there?" So, you know, you look back and my goodness, you think, you know, Beverly and I have had such unbelievable good fortune in this industry. It's just been one thrill after the other, and we thank all of our wonderful, beautiful friends from Kentucky, Governor Patton, our host, Mr. Meeker, President Meeker of Churchill Downs, and you people out there in thoroughbred land are marvelous, and we just love you all, and thank you for your courtesies and your friendship and the warmth that you expressed to us. To have this for the second time in our lives is just beyond comprehension, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
I think we better thank your jockey also for a tremendous ride, Chris Antley. Only back in racing a few months after personal and physical problems, the talent to ride like this was always there. How did you get this done so quickly?
Wayne asked me to ride.
Simple as that.
I said I was open, and here we arrived. My name was written all over him, his first 5 letters, Chris A. I want to thank Bob and Beverly Lewis. Nobody deserves it more than them. They've put so much into the game. I want to say something to my family and friends back in South Carolina. They watched me get here to this road. It was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Miracles were made to come true, and it happened today for me. This is the greatest sport there is. It is the sport of kings. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well done, Chris. Well done. Wayne, a well-done training job also. You told everybody who had listened this week that Charismatic was the horse to watch. You said you missed something. You found it in his last start. What was it?
Well, I probably in my career never misjudged a horse early on as I have this one. But he just gets better and better every day. And there's a well-known song says it's a chance of a lifetime and a lifetime of chance. And we took some chances with him, certainly. But I am so proud to win this for the first lady of racing and the first gentleman of thoroughbred racing. You can't believe how much it means to me to stand here with these two people. We had a great filly. We took a shot when we probably could have won an Oaks, and now we're here with a Derby winner, so we completed the whole cycle.
A great story here. Chris Antley, Wayne Lukas, Bob and Beverly Lewis. Congratulations to everybody. And we'll go up to Al now.
Thank you very much, Chauncey. Just a footnote to the Antley situation, because he spoke very generically. He had substance abuse problems. He had tested positive for cocaine in 1988. And you can imagine when you're a jockey, the most important thing is keeping your weight down. And he got caught in a vicious circle of substance abuse and becoming overweight and trying to lose weight and all of the rest. And he expressed it very articulately there. But for Chris Antley, the man who was aboard Strike the Gold in '91, here he is 8 years later, back in the saddle again and back in the winner's circle again at Churchill Downs in Louisville. Charismatic, the winner of the 125th Kentucky Derby. Well, there's a lot of partying that goes on in Louisville all through Derby week, and the party at the Lukas barn, that's a live shot, that party has just begun. Well into the night they'll go, because Charismatic wins the Derby at 64.60. Menifee was second and Cat Thief was third on a picture-perfect postcard afternoon in Louisville. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. And this has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. Won 2 Kentucky Derbies, and Pat Day, who'll be aboard Menifee, who has won 1. one of the great celebrities in the world, Muhammad Ali, mugging for the camera. Of course, this is Muhammad's hometown. On the subject of celebrities, hey, what's a Kentucky Derby? His 25th without Jim McKay. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Al, thank you very much. As you know, horse racing's full of superstitions. You know, don't take a horse's picture before the race, never show a horseshoe upside down, and magic numbers. Consider the number 9 in this year with 3 of them, 1999. Kentucky Derbies and the events of the world have been especially fascinating in the years ending in 9.
Number 9, number 9, number 9.
Let us begin in the year just after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles was signed, ending the wars supposedly to end all wars, and prohibition became law in the United States. Mint juleps forbidden by law? Well, a mean-tempered, sore-footed colt named Sir Barton came to set the pace for his stablemate, but won the Derby and became the first Triple Crown winner. Clyde Van Dusen, the 1929 winner, was named after his trainer. What an ego trip for the human Clyde when his namesake became the last gelding to win the Derby. 5 months later, the stock market crashed and the nation was in panic.
Number 9, number 9.
40 years after the crash, there was national pride.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In the Derby, Johnny Longden became the first, and he's still the only man to win the Derby as he's coming you to the Kentucky Derby on behalf of ABC Sports for the 25th consecutive time. It's a big anniversary for us and a bigger one for the race itself because this will be the 125th running of the world's greatest horse race. So get comfortable because it's going to be quite a day.
Can you hear it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel history? The 125th running of the Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs, we're just moments away from post time of the Kentucky Derby.
The Derby is like Super Bowl or anything.
When you're coming down the stretch, about your life flashes before you because you are not.
If you try to become the Derby, if you try to take it over, it'll destroy you.
You could be the greatest horse trainer in the world, but if you haven't won the Kentucky Derby, you're not so great.
Can you hear it?
Seattle Slew now taking it away from him. As Spectacular Bid is coming to the line. It is Spectacular Bid that wins it by 3. We come to the finish. And it's Secretariat that wins it by 2.5 lengths. But he's still on the lead, and here comes Foolish Pleasure. Foolish Pleasure gets ahead in front.
I can.
The pulse.
The pulse. Speed. Excellence. History. Grace. Power.
Can you hear it?
I can.
Churchill Downs, the 125th running of the Kentucky Derby.
Can you hear it?
Can you hear it?
Can you hear it?
Can you feel it?
I can.
Every race in this decade seems to have been a wide open Derby, perhaps none more so than this one. There's no superstar horse. There is no one horse getting an inordinate amount of attention. I think you can really make a case for at least 12 of the 19 horses that will come out of the starting gate having a legitimate chance in a race that has produced no winning favorite since all the way back in 1979. And we've had no Triple Crown winner since 1978. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this gigantic field, which was originally 20 but is now 19 because of a scratch yesterday. And one of those horses who was scratched was number 1, Algebra, part of the entry from Dubai, but his more heralded mate is Worldly Manor in the field at 14-1. Then there's the John and Betty Maybe owned entry of Excellent Meeting and General Challenge. Excellent Meeting is the filly, each trained by Bob Baffert, coupled at 5-1. Adonis is one of 2 Nick Zito horses at 18-1. Then there is number 4, 3 Ring, one of 2 fillies in the race at 20-1. Stephen Got Even is amazingly the favorite at 9-2. Desert Hero at 18-1. Answer Lively, last year's 2-year-old champ, 35-1. Cat Thief, one of 2 horses trained by Wayne Lukas in the field, is 7-1. Prime Timber, one of the 3 Baffert horses running uncoupled, at 6-1. First American is 35-1. Charismatic is the other Lukas horse at 30-1. Vicar comes north from Florida, where he won a couple of races, at 8-1. Menifee was the winner of the recent Bluegrass. He's 6-1. And then you have the bargain basement sale. You might as well go to Filene's Basement, because you like any of those horses, you get all 5 for 1 on 1 ticket. Ecton Park, Val Hall, K1 King, Kimberlite Pipe, and Lemon Drop Kid in what's known as the Mutual Field. Buy one, get them all at odds of 10-1. A reminder, we had to go off the air before the end of the Auto Club 300 auto race. Robin Roberts will be updating that for you very shortly. We'll give you the final results as soon as that race in California is over. And right now, down to the barn area, and Leslie Visser.
Hello, Al. It's been a busy week at Barn 33. Bob Baffert, who won yesterday with Silver Bullet Day in the Kentucky Oaks, hopes his luck continues. Owner Mike Pegram told me he would like to run Silver Bullet Day in the Preakness, but that decision will be left up to Bob. Well, as for today, Bob is most concerned with General Challenge. He's a difficult horse. Bob calls him Rodman, so he's going to put on his tongue tie and his blinkers here at the barn. That's usually done over in the paddock. With 2 top colts and a top filly, Bob knows this is his chance at history.
These are my children, and I treat them like my children. These 2 guys are immature, talented freaks of nature, and so my job is to keep them happy, keep that confidence level. I want them to think they're bad. Pat Riley said once, when you're playing at this championship level like this, you have 2 things to look forward to, and that's winning and misery. And believe me, he's right. There's never been a trainer of this caliber. No. And I don't think about the 3 years in a row. You can't get your hopes up too high, because there's a lot of disappointments in this business. So I'm just trying to get there right now. And this is one-shot deal, so you better make the best of it.
Bob Baffert looking for an unprecedented hat trick in Louisville and obliging their fans. The great Jerry Bailey, who's
Hear the echoes of a century and more. Feel the drama that's to come. Remember Real Quiet last year? The 2nd straight for trader Bob Baffert. Now he goes for an unprecedented 3rd in a row. From the mysterious Middle East comes a challenger prepared in Dubai for this day in Kentucky. Shane Sellers, leading rider here in Kentucky, still looks for his first Derby win on Vicar. Wayne Lukas, once the sport's dominant figure, stalks the backstretch looking for a 4th Derby win. And Nick Cito, from the sidewalks of New York, looks for his 3rd win in the 90s. It's the focus of the sports world today. Kentucky Derby, number 125.
There is only one place to be in the world of sports on the first Saturday in May, and you are there at the moment. The twin spires of Churchill Downs, a bright blue sky. This is the 125th Kentucky Derby. I guarantee you, never with better weather conditions. An ice blue sky, just perfect. Temperature in the low 70s and perhaps 150,000 looking on for the 125th Kentucky Derby. The purse over $1.1 million. They'll go 1.25 miles on a very fast track in Louisville. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to the final Kentucky Derby of the 20th century. And we really have a beauty. What a decade this has been.